The Justice Department now putting out a new statement and saying it could meet with Ghislaine Maxwell in the coming days. She is the longtime associate to the late and notorious sex offender. Maxwell is currently serving a 20-year prison sentence after she was convicted of conspiring with Epstein to sexually abuse minors. The Justice Department now saying, and it's a lengthy statement, but in the part of the statement saying this morning, if Ghislaine Maxwell has information about anyone who has committed crimes against victims, the FBI and the DOJ will hear what she has to say. President Trump, to this point and before this, has made very clear that he is ready to move on from what he called just the last few days the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. Though it's very clearly not going away. So the president has shifted to say he supports transparency and in a rare move seems to be handing off power, so to speak, saying it's up to the Attorney General to release any credible information and evidence along with those grand jury transcripts. Now, 11 House Republicans have signaled support for the bipartisan move making its way through Congress to force the Epstein files to be released. But it's hit a bit of a brick wall right now. House Speaker Mike Johnson on Monday shut down any chance of a vote happening anytime before September. Let's get to the White House for the very latest on this. Elena Treen standing by for us. You brought us this new statement just as it was coming out. What does this new statement from the Justice Department mean?
I think it's still to be seen what exactly this could yield, Kate. But I think what is clear is that they are recognizing that this position that they have really stuck to over the last couple of weeks, this idea of trying to change the subject, to try to get the president's supporters and the broader American public to move on from it, isn't working. And so this is just the latest turn showing that, okay, they recognize they need to put out more information. Now, I want to read for you just more of that statement that we got this morning from the Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche. He said, at the direction of Attorney General Bondi, this is a quote, "I've communicated with counsel for Ms. Maxwell to determine whether she would be willing to speak with prosecutors from the department. I anticipate meeting with Ms. Maxwell in the coming days." And then, Kate, we also got a statement from Ghislaine Maxwell's attorney, David Oscar Marcus. This is what he told CNN. He said, quote, "I can confirm that we are in discussions with the government and that Ghislaine will always testify truthfully. We are grateful to President Trump for his commitment to uncovering the truth in this case." So again, of course, a couple key questions now about all of this. One is, what exactly are they going to glean from this? Will Maxwell be truthful? Does she have ulterior motives? Of course, you mentioned she's in prison now for serving a 20-year sentence. You know, they have to determine what she says, whether it's credible and whether they can release it to the public. I'd remind you, the president has now repeatedly said that he's giving the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, it's up to her to decide if there's credible information to release. She can choose to do so. But all of this, again, is another question, really, is if this will be enough for the people who have been pushing for this administration to release the Epstein files. That has really been what people have been asking for. You mentioned those Republican members in Congress who are pushing this effort to force a floor vote to have them release these Epstein files. We heard from many conservative Republicans, Trump allies, I should say, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Senator Josh Hawley, saying that they are getting calls, Kate, from their constituents about this, pressing this White House and this administration to be more transparent on the Epstein case. So what I think is very clear from the Attorney General and the DOJ more broadly is doing here is they recognize that their position thus far of trying to get everyone to move on from this, from releasing that memo over 2 weeks ago now saying that Epstein died by suicide, that there was no so-called client list. They recognize that that is not enough, that enough people are now saying we need more in this story, and this desire to get more information is not going away. So now it's really up to seeing what will Maxwell say, what would this meeting with her glean, and whether or not that will be enough for the people who are, again, calling for far more transparency than this Trump administration has so far been willing to give.
Yeah, and how this actually works, because she's like fighting her conviction right now. There would have to be, as Alan Dershowitz pointed out, some level of immunity agreed to. I mean, there's a lot going on here, but fascinating that the Justice Department is opening the door to this now. It's good to see you, Elena. Thank you so much. John?
All right, with us now, CNN chief political analyst David Axelrod and CNN political commentator S.E. Cupp. What about this, S.E.?
Okay. Asking Ghislaine Maxwell to help bail you out is not the plot twist I saw coming, and that's really interesting. But I mean, a lot of this has been raised. What's she going to say? Is there going to be a quid pro quo here that makes anything she says not believable? The only thing I do know is that the conspiracy theorist is never satisfied. And MAGA influencers, this administration, created a dependency on this drug that is a conspiracy theory. They did it for Epstein, but lots of other conspiracy theories. And telling them to quit cold turkey does not work. The conspiracy theorist isn't there for answers. They're there for the conspiracy. So whatever they give them, this particular sect inside of MAGA is never going to be satisfied, definitely not by something Ghislaine Maxwell says.
So it's interesting. I've been looking through this statement that came from the Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, and it's the end of it where he says he's reaching out to Ghislaine Maxwell. But the first line, David, is the Department of Justice does not shy away from uncomfortable truths, nor from the responsibility to pursue justice wherever the facts may lead, which actually may tell you more than the fact that they're reaching out to Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah, but you know, not to feed conspiracy theories, the idea that someone who's in prison for 20 years is going to testify truthfully is really a stretch. I mean, she knows the president has the pardon power. She knows that the president has used it pretty liberally. I mean that in a different way. And so there is quite a bit of incentive for her to say what is useful and what is helpful. And, you know, the idea that this Justice Department wants her to say other than that is also strained by the things that we've seen. So I'm not sure. It's just the plot just keeps getting thicker all the time here.
You know, and it's also interesting because as for asking the Attorney General to go to a judge to release the grand jury testimony, as for going to Ghislaine Maxwell to ask her to say things,
to the Justice Department,
right,
not to Congress.
To the Justice Department, but these are things that the president doesn't control directly. The things that the Attorney General and the president do control are the files and the evidence, which she presumably
she could release
right now.
And suggested she would. Yeah, as he suggested, they are hoisted on their own petard or by their own petard, as Shakespeare would say. They created this environment in which. And now the environment is out of control.
And that environment in the House of Representatives, Essie, it's possible they'll go home today without voting on anything for the week because House Republicans are in a bind right now. They don't want to vote against releasing Jeffrey Epstein files,
right,
but they don't want to cross the president. So they may just do nothing?
Yeah, but from a PR standpoint, I'm not really sure what Mike Johnson's thinking, Speaker Johnson's thinking, because why would you want to prolong this over an August recess? Get this done, then everyone goes away, and you hope that it maybe gets eaten up by another news cycle.
Isn't the answer to that, this is what the president wants him to do?
For sure, for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
sure.
The good news is they may get home earlier. The bad news is when they get home, they're going to see a bunch of angry people who have a lot of questions about this. So.
Yeah, we just know what we're hearing
people
from members.
They ginned up. I mean, the list of characters you put up from the House of Representatives is not a surprising connection to the constituents that want more of these conspiracies, and they're going to keep asking questions because they conditioned these people to demand it.
With us is Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis, a Republican from New York. Congresswoman, thank you so much for joining us. What do you think of this move by the Department of Justice? And what do you think about calls from some Republican members of Congress, including Senator Josh Hawley, to actually get congressional testimony from Ghislaine Maxwell?
Look, I think both are good ideas. I think anything we can do to give transparency to the public is a positive thing here. President Trump ran on being the most transparent president administration. He's known for releasing transcripts and parts of phone calls that he's had with other world leaders. He has been very transparent, and when you all of a sudden don't want to be transparent anymore, it raises questions and curiosity. And so I think it's a good idea, but I also have to ask the question as to why at this moment as this becomes such a big issue. Remember, Biden administration was there for 4 years. We never heard from the Democrats or Republicans for that matter for calls for this information to be released. And I think it is really interesting that this is happening on the 6-month anniversary of the president being sworn in, where he has delivered significant wins from securing the border to attracting trillions of dollars in investment to providing the largest tax cut for working Americans, middle class and senior citizens, lower energy costs. I mean, it really begs the question as to what, they're just trying to distract. Now, with that said, I support these efforts to be transparent and to release this information to the public, but we do need to make sure that it's done in a responsible and cautious manner so we are protecting witnesses and we're protecting the victims as well.